Frank Sinatra, the late Frank Sinatra, the great Frank Sinatra, wrote that song. A beautiful song that a lot of us grew up with as young boys, I guess. I remember seeing it as a theme song in a movie. I think I was about 9 years old. Anyway, my point is, I've been going on my channel about musical intervals. And recently I did a little micro lesson on the flat 6 interval. And that's it right there. From the E to the C sharp. That shape that you know well by now. Skipping a string. And then that flat 5th, the flat 5. You see that dark 7 sound. That's my point this morning. But my real point this morning is about training your ear. Because I've never played that song. I once used the little motif to demonstrate the flat 6, that sort of sad, darkened sound that you get versus the major 6. It's more happy. Right, so, but my point is, I've never played that song through like that, the notes of it. I just let my brain take control of my hand. I know the melody as a young 10-year-old, 9-year-old, but I just let my brain take control of my hand. So when you see the hesitation, it's because I start thinking what I'm doing. That's my problem. I don't trust my brain. Now I need to rectify that, and so do you. Only yesterday I was telling my wife, while we were doing our daily morning exercise walk of 3.5 kilometers, that I need to start trusting all the theory I've put into my head, because I'm thinking too much. Now on the topic of picking tunes, like yesterday I did A Day in the Life by the Beatles. Now you probably want to check that one out. I did it on electric guitar. I did it in memory of my late father, who actually took his own life. Because tomorrow's Father's Day in Australia, so it's the first time I've dedicated a song to my father ever. Now, back to picking melodies. The great Steve Lukather, session musician in LA, as most of you know him as the guitarist for Toto. He said in his day, if you could pick a tune, you were considered a brilliant guitarist. Now, I basically teethed like that in the first 8 years that I did play guitar. I played solely by listening to the radio and to the vinyl and later cassette recordings of songs, and also just by watching other guys' physical hand movements. And that's a hard way to learn, because guys use all different sorts of fingers. Some use 3s, some only use 2, you know. And some use 4. Like I prefer to use 4 because I used to watch a brilliant guitarist who used to use 4 fingers when I was 16. He was one of South Africa's best guitarists, and sadly he was killed in a motor car accident just I think 2.5 years ago. His name was Jethro Butler. He actually opened for Pavarotti when he played at Sun City in Southern Africa. Now, and another guy that I personally played in a new wave band that I opened with our band, new wave band, on several occasions, was a guy by the name of John Mayer. He also was killed in a motor car accident after a gig one night, I'm told. And my respects to both those guys, because I learned so much from listening and watching to them. As a 16-year-old, I used to stand in the stage watching Jethro, like with a big pint of beer in my hand, underage access to a club. But I was there for the music. And one evening, Jethro handed me his Goldie, his Les Paul Gold guitar. The year was 1975. I'll never forget the night. He handed me the guitar at the foot of the stage and he said, "Play it." And I was terrified. But he said, "Look, it's not switched on." But what I'll never ever forget, as he sat me on the 2-foot stage, he sat me down and sat next to me, was the feel in my hand. The feel in my hand that never left me from 1975 until 2002, when I acquired my own Les Paul that you see me playing in my jams. Anyway, what a great man. The guy was a phenomenal guitarist. Really should have been on the world stage, but given the South African politics of the day, he was mainly limited to playing South Africa. Anyway, here I am sitting in Sydney, playing for the world stage. Anyway, train your ear, get to know your intervals, because when I push those notes, I don't think about it while I'm doing it, but in retrospect I go through it and I analyze what intervals I've played. And listen, in one octave, there's only 12. You can go from E to E. You can go from E to E in the next octave. So just think about it. 12 things. What's the problem? Get to know the sounds they make. That's, you see, that's a 6 interval. That's a flat 5. A power chord. That's a major 5th interval. Just get to know it. In the A major, you've got the major 3rd of A in the C sharp. Then you hear that sad sound. You guys know this, but explore the other intervals. What's causing those sounds? What are the intervals that's causing that sound? Go and check it out. That's a D. Now D to an A is a 4th, or it could be, you guessed it, an 11th, because you add 7 because you're in the next horizontal octave on the fretboard. Don't overcomplicate this stuff. I know that something like 65% of my viewers are over the age of 54, and they're all male. Thanks for your interest in my channel. But I mean good. I've got over 1,000 videos up there of me jamming, where I'm just basically practicing what I learned the day before. No, I'm just having fun, and sometimes giving little lessons like this to you guys that I hopefully you are watching, because there's a lot of I'm stretching this one out a bit because I'm trying to get my hours up. I've hit 300 hours public viewing hours yesterday on YouTube. I need to get those hours up, and the only way I can do that is sit here and talk to you guys, and hopefully you will actually watch it. My wife says, "Do you love your face or something? You always..." I said, "No, I'm trying to build up a pension plan." Now, honestly, I'm so passionate about the instrument. I'm also passionate about teaching people. In my accounting practice that I formed in South Africa, the young staff used to come to me and say, and also when I worked for a major international accounting firm as an employee, as a 3-year trainee, chartered accountant, the juniors used to come to me and said, "Mike, we've never had a senior like you. You've got such a fantastic way of teaching people." Indeed, a managing director of a medium-sized business went to my senior partner at the international accounting firm, and he said, "I want to take you guys out for lunch." In those days, he took us for a 450 rand lunch, which was a fortune those days, and it was a 5-hour lunch. I'll say much beverages were consumed, and the guy gave a speech in front of his staff and me and my senior partner, and he lamented me because I taught him what we call accounting concept 118, cash flow, the cash flow statement. It was new on the block in the 90s, in the very early 90s, and He said no one ever managed to explain to him what the relevance was. And because I was a correspondence student, and I'm a correspondence student on guitar, I spent about 6 years on YouTube. Contrary to what the critics say, I've learned heaps on YouTube from watching around 3,000 hours of musical videos and listening to them, and watching training videos. And I've got a file about that thick downstairs of handwritten notes in all genre of music. I encourage you to do the same, and thanks for viewing my channel. Hopefully you'll get something from my little micro lessons. Thanks again for watching, and please do subscribe and get your whole school to subscribe. I've got 442 and I need 1,000 subscribers, but most importantly I need these public hours. So thank you for viewing, most sincerely. Cheers.